So recently I was named as a board chairman for the third time, and that's quite an honor. But it inspired me to share some thoughts on a topic that I talk about often with different people, which is the topic of minorities, people from underrepresented group serving on boards. As all of you may have seen in the news in recent years, the topic of board diversity and diversity in general has been a hot topic, talking about making sure that people who don't have access to the same opportunity as others under the premise that talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. Boards in particular are one of, if not the most important group to make sure that diversity is intact, because these are oftentimes the groups of people that are making the most influential decisions or having the biggest influence on the leaders in the world that make the biggest decisions. So this is why I wanted to share my personal thoughts on this topic. I was a young Mexican kid who grew up poor throughout my childhood. I do not have a college degree, nor did I ever have the money to go to college. So I never thought I would be in a position of leadership serving on the boards of organizations that do incredible work around the world. But because people mentored me and gave me opportunity along the way in my career, a chance to prove myself, I ultimately had the luxury and the benefit of being able to serve on boards and in addition to becoming the leader of the board. One of the principles I urge leaders to think about in this arena is to make sure that your board is reflective of the communities that you are in or the people that you serve. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but from a business perspective, it is the smart thing to do, because the data makes it irrefutable that diverse boards win. Diverse organizations win. And what I wanted to share was my firsthand experience of someone who was given the opportunity to serve on a board, and extending that opportunity resulting in not only a great partnership, but also in a great amount of value for that organization that gave me that opportunity. There's an illustration that I'll make that kind of makes this a two-way street. What is the experience like for the person that's giving an untested, unaccomplished, high potential professional like me the opportunity? And what is it like to be given that opportunity, and how to navigate imposter syndrome, which is a real thing that I had to overcome in the process. So the story was that I was allowed to join a local Salvation Army board here in Southern California because I was doing a lot of volunteer and community work. And at that point, I was a junior professional that was incredibly motivated and working incredibly hard to prove myself. As a result of the generosity of one of the board members, she advocated for me to become a member of the board because of how much work I was doing. And after some conversations, this board in particular was very receptive and very welcoming to me as a board member. And when I joined that board and had my first board meeting, I probably had the highest sense of imposter syndrome I had ever experienced in my life. I was sitting next to people who had started their own architecture firms and who were proven, seasoned, decorated leaders in that community. And here I was, a up-and-coming leader in a tech company that had not necessarily proven himself in one way or another. But because that board gave me that opportunity to join and become a member, and once I got settled, and because of the culture and the operations of that board, I got to a place where I had enough confidence, and this is what ultimately allowed me to overcome this imposter syndrome, where a board member came to me one day and he says, "What do you think you're bringing to the table, or were you excited to contribute?" And I said, "I have no idea. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to figure that out. But what I will promise you is that even though I might not have as much innate capability, day one capability as I'd like in joining this board, nobody will outwork me. And I do have a growth mindset. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I want to be a learn-it-all. And I will ask questions, and I will work hard to bring myself up to speed. And I promise you that in 2 years, I will be one of, if not the most valuable board member on this board. And that's ultimately what ended up happening. And so this board that gave me the chance to serve locally was a stepping stone for me to continue to grow my board career with this organization and ultimately get named to the national board for an organization that serves over 30 million people a year in the United States alone. So what is my point in saying all of this? What should be your main takeaway in me sharing this story? The story is for people who are doing board development and recruiting, that when you open up the aperture that your board recruiting practices are using in terms of the type and the profile of people that you're recruiting, and intentionally going into underrepresented groups to find high potential people like me, there are people out there that you would never have discovered otherwise. People that have the motivation, the work ethic to prove themselves and provide an incredible amount of value and expertise to your organization. Oftentimes people that will grow up with you in their career and be senior leaders later on down the road. So make sure that if you're doing board recruitment or if you're on a nominating committee, that you're taking a look at untraditional, unorthodox recruiting pools to find people like me. To those of you who are thinking about joining a board who have never been on one before, and you don't have a college degree or you don't have a pedigree resume to offer, embrace a growth mindset. Bring what you have to the table day one and just tell yourself, after I have a chance to acclimate, I have a chance to get this to know this organization, I could latch on to a board mentor, I will become valuable one day. There is a reason why they asked me to be here in the first place. And allow yourself the time and the luxury to acclimate to this board and start providing value. Diversity on boards matters because it helps boards win in addition to being the right thing to do. And I wanted to provide this encouragement to all of you who are being a part of this work out there. Good luck.